One story, the creature of the highway. I was driving late at night on a deserted highway in the middle of nowhere. The road was pitch black, except for the weak beam of my headlights slicing through the thick darkness. I didn't mind driving alone at night. It was something peaceful about the isolation, but tonight felt different. The trees lining the road seemed taller, more oppressive. Their branches twisted in the wind, casting strange shadows across the asphalt. I glanced at my gas gauge and realized I was running low. There was no sign of civilization for miles, but I knew I'd have to stop soon and refuel. Suddenly, a dark shape darted across the road ahead of me. I slammed on the brakes, skidding to a halt, my heart racing. I sat there for a moment, staring into the blackness, trying to make out what it was. At first, I thought it might be a deer, but the shape was wrong. Too low, too fast, and it moved in a way that sent chills down my spine. I waited a few moments before deciding to keep driving. As I accelerated slowly, my headlights caught a glimpse of something in the undergrowth beside the road. A pair of glowing eyes stared back at me. They were too large to be a wolf's, too high off the ground. I blinked, and the eyes were gone. The unease settled into my bones. My knuckles turned white as I gripped the steering wheel tighter, trying to shake off the feeling that I was being watched. The road stretched on endlessly, and the trees seemed to close in on me, their branches now reaching out like skeletal fingers. Out of nowhere, my car began to sputter. The engine choked and died completely, leaving me stranded in the middle of the road. "No, no, no," I muttered, turning the key in the ignition repeatedly, but the engine refused to start. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized how isolated I truly was. There was no cell service, no houses, and the only sound was the wind howling through the trees. I stepped out of the car, deciding to take a look under the hood. As soon as my feet hit the pavement, I heard something rustling in the undergrowth. My breath caught in my throat, and I slowly turned toward the sound. A shape emerged from the bushes, crouching low to the ground. It was enormous, its fur matted and dark like shadows made flesh. Its face was long, wolf-like, but twisted into something unnatural, its eyes burning with a fierce, unnatural glow. I froze. It stared at me for a moment, then it bared its teeth in a snarl, lips pulling back to reveal razor-sharp fangs. I backed away slowly, heart racing, trying not to provoke it. But my foot slipped on the gravel, and the creature lunged at me. I barely managed to dive back into my car, slamming the door shut as it slammed into the side of the vehicle. The windows rattled as it clawed at the metal, snarling and growling like a demon from the underworld. I fumbled for the keys, and miraculously, the engine roared to life. Without hesitation, I floored the gas pedal, speeding away as fast as I could. In the rearview mirror, I saw the creature standing in the middle of the road, yet watching me disappear into the night. 2 stories, the beast in the underbrush. I was driving down Route 49, a long, winding stretch of highway that cut through dense forests on either side. It was late, almost midnight, and the moonlight barely pierced through the thick canopy above. The trees cast eerie shadows over the road, and I was the only car in sight. I had heard rumors about this stretch of road. Locals in the nearby town of Pinehurst whispered about strange creatures lurking in the underbrush. Some said it was a wolf. Others swore it was something worse. But I wasn't one to believe in tall tales. Or so I thought. As I rounded a bend, my headlights caught something on the side of the road. At first, it looked like a large animal crouched low in the underbrush. Its fur was dark, almost blending in with the shadows, but its eyes glowed a sickly yellow. I slowed down instinctively, my heart pounding. The creature stood up on two legs. It was massive, towering over the bushes, its hunched back covered in matted fur. It looked like a wolf, but no wolf I'd ever seen before. Its face was twisted, almost human in its expression, with long fangs that glistened in the moonlight. I slammed on the brakes, my tires screeching against the asphalt. The creature took a step forward, its claws digging into the ground as it approached my car. Panic surged through me, and I fumbled to put the car in reverse, but my hands were trembling too much. The beast let out a low, guttural growl, its eyes locked on mine. I could feel its gaze pierce through me, as if it was studying me, deciding whether I was prey. My foot finally found the gas pedal, and I reversed hard, my tires kicking up dust as I sped backward. Just as I thought I had escaped, the creature lunged. It moved faster than anything I'd ever seen, crashing into the side of my car with a force that rocked the vehicle. The windows cracked, and I heard the metal frame buckle under the impact. My heart raced as I desperately tried to steer away from the creature. But it didn't stop. The beast clawed at the car, its snarls filling the night air. I could hear the screech of its claws against the metal, tearing through the door. I floored the gas pedal, the engine roaring as I sped down the highway, the creature chasing after me. It was right behind me, its heavy breathing audible over the sound of my engine. I glanced in the rearview mirror, my stomach dropping when I saw it still running at full speed, its yellow eyes never leaving my car. Just as I thought it would catch me, the creature stopped dead in its tracks. I didn't dare slow down, my heart still pounding in my chest, but something told me it wasn't over. I drove for miles until I reached the safety of Pinehurst, my car battered but still running. The next morning, I went to inspect the damage. Deep claw marks lined the side of the car, and tufts of dark fur were caught in the cracks. But the strangest thing was the small paw prints in the dirt beside the car. Not of a massive beast, but of something much smaller, as if the creature had changed when the sun rose, leaving behind only the trace of a wolf pup. 3-story, the creature from the highway. I was driving down Highway 36 late at night, the road barely lit by the flickering headlights of my old Chevy. The trees on both sides seemed to stretch endlessly, dark and thick, their branches clawing at the sky. I was on my way back from Ridgewood, a small town about 30 miles from where I lived in Harpersville. The radio buzzed with static, and I tapped the bar knob in frustration, trying to get any station to come through. Suddenly, my headlights caught something in the middle of the road. A large figure stood there, eyes glowing red in the darkness. I slammed on the brakes, my tires screeching as I skidded to a stop. My heart pounded in my chest. It wasn't an animal I had ever seen before. It was standing on two legs, tall and hunched, its fur matted and dark as the shadows around it. Its face was like that of a wolf, but stretched unnaturally long, with a mouth full of sharp, yellow teeth that gleamed in the dim light. I sat frozen in my seat, my hand gripping the steering wheel. The creature let out a low, guttural growl and took a step toward me. My instincts kicked in, and I shifted the car into reverse. The tires spun for a second before catching the asphalt, and I began to back away slowly. But the creature didn't chase me. It stood there watching as I reversed down the highway, its red eyes locked onto mine. Just when I thought I was far enough away to be safe, it turned and vanished into the undergrowth on the side of the road. I could still feel its presence, though, like it was waiting just beyond the tree line. I had to go forward. There was no other route home, and I couldn't stay parked on the highway all night. I took a deep breath and pressed the gas pedal down, my hands shaking as I slowly drove past the spot where it had disappeared. My heart raced with every inch I moved forward, expecting it to leap from the bushes at any moment. I was nearly through when I saw it again in the rearview mirror. It was running on all fours this time, faster than anything, I had ever seen. Its body contorted unnaturally, its limbs stretching as it sprinted through the trees alongside the road. I slammed my foot on the gas, the engine roaring as I tried to outrun it. But it kept pace with me, darting in and out of the woods. Suddenly, it jumped onto the road in front of me, and I swerved hard to avoid hitting it. My car spun out of control and crashed into a ditch. The airbag let deployed with a deafening pop, and I felt the sharp sting of pain in my chest. Dazed, I pushed the door open and stumbled out into the night. The creature was gone. But I knew it was still out there, watching from the darkness, waiting. I could hear its low, menacing growl coming from the trees as I staggered back to the road. I never saw it again after that night, but every time I drive down that stretch of Growler Highway 36, I can feel it watching me from the undergrowth, waiting for the right moment to strike again. And I know it will.